So thank you everybody for joining. So happy Friday, first of all. So today we're going to talk about the integrating ChatGPT with Visual Studio. So actually, this is something very straightforward to do. I am really impressed about how easy it is to integrate this tool with the Visual Studio. We're going to see like a couple of ways to do it. We're going to see the integration using the Postman, and we're going to move through a live code session. It's going to be something very easy, but you're going to see that this could be very powerful, and probably this is the very, very big opportunity for the company to start researching in this kind of integrations. So my name is Edison Suarez. I am a TDM and technical lead. At this moment, I'm working for the Marketplace Intelligence Platform for Deloitte. And this is the agenda that we're going to have today. So first of all, we're going to talk a little bit about what is needed to start with this kind of implementation. And then we're going to talk about the pricing. So it's not for free. Unfortunately, it's not for free. So we need to talk about the pricing and the tokenizer system. And the token system is how the pricing, how ChatGPT charges for using the API. And then we're going to talk about a little bit of the keywords that we need to keep in mind to this. We're going to talk about the prompt, the completion, the model, and the temperature. Then we're going to move through our demo. And then I want to leave that probably I think we should have a second part. Probably we can integrate this with the AI practice as well. So okay, let's get it started. Okay, no, thank you. Sorry. Okay, so let's start talking about the first thing about what is needed. Okay, so you need to go basically to start using this. You need to go to the OpenAI page and you need to create an account. Okay, this is the first requirement you need to accomplish. So you need to be in why? Because after you do that, you're going to use an API key. Okay, so once you have your API key, you're going to be able to use the ChatGPT API integration. So this integration is, they have several like tools. They have in this moment, they have three main tools. One is the completion tool or the chat. The other one is called DALI, and it's for images. And there is another one for transcriptions from audio. For example, you can take an audio and you can send it to the ChatGPT, and you can get a translation from the engine, or transcript of the audio, or text, the text of the audio in a text format. And basically, those are the services that we have available in the ChatGPT in this moment. Okay, so you need to have a ChatGPT API key. So you need to create an account first. Okay, so you need to create an account, and after that you need to create an API key. So how can I get the API key? So you just need to come here to your picture. Come here to the view API keys. Okay, I have a couple here. And then you need to, if you don't have one, you need to create your new API key. You're going to put a name on it. And after that, you're going to create you're going to have the API key. If you lost it, it's okay. You can create as many as you need. So it's not a problem or limitation. But it's better if you keep this information in a safe place, because whoever in this world has this API key is going to use ChatGPT on your name, and this is going to translate into charges to you for the usage of the API key. Okay, so just keep this in mind. How an API key looks like, I have here like an example. This is not a real one, but this is how it looks like. Okay, so once you create your API key on the platform, you're going to get a code like this, starting with SK, then a space, hyphen, space, and this kind of codes. So once you have it, you are going to be able to use the ChatGPT API integration. Okay, so this is the first part of this small lecture. So now let's talk about the pricing, and this is very interesting actually because it's not like you're going to pay like a fixed value monthly or annually or weekly. It's all about the tokens. Okay.
Edison, I have a question. Can I ask?
Of course.
So you are explaining to us how we can add the keys and the tokens, but can you please share with us how we can use this integration of Visual Studio? What would be the intention? What is the purpose?
Yes,
before
yes.
we move?
Yes, that's a good question, Joanna. I'm going to talk about that in the demo, in the demo part. I am just going to give you an overview of the entire the entire process. But yes, in the demo, we are going to go deep into the technical details, and we are going to see, for example, which kind of usage can we give to this integration, okay? So I hope to answer your question in a couple of minutes when we start the demo session, the demo part.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, you're very welcome. Okay, so pricing. So pricing is about tokens. So every time you create, for example, a word. So let's say, for example, this is a test. Basically, the tokenizer system of ChatGPT is going to decompose that phrase into tokens. Okay. So as you can see here, I have used 4 tokens for writing this phrase. So when you're going to use the ChatGPT and you are saying, for example, give me the list of the most populated, cities in the world. When you send that question, the ChatGPT system is going to convert that words into tokens, and you're going to be charged by the use of by how many tokens, by the amount of tokens that you are using. Okay, so it's going to be it is going to summarize, it's going to make a sum of the question you made and the answer that you got. To make a zoom of all the tokens involved here. So for example, let's say I have a question. So tell me the name of the hottest city in the world. Let's say something like that. Okay. Sorry, the typo here. Okay, so I have, this is my prompt. Okay, this is my question, and I'm gonna get an answer like this. For example, the hottest, I think is this way, city in the world is, let's say, Merida. Okay, so as you can see, this group of the question and answers is going to use 23 tokens, and we're going to be charged about the usage of the tokens. So if I go to the pricing page, so this is the tokenizer. If I go to the pricing, okay, I can see the value of each of the tokens. Okay. So as you can see here, these are all the charges that you're going to be reflected in your account or in your usage. Okay. So you're not going to pay like a fixed value. You're going to just pay, for example, $10, and you're going to spend those $10 using the tokens. Once this is finished, you're not going to be able to use the API anymore, and you need to charge more money to your account. So, for example, we are using, in this case, ChatGPT 3.5 Turbo. This is the model we are using. And as you can see here, so this is what we are going to be charged, okay, for 1,000 tokens. It's actually very cheap. Okay, so as you can see, it's going to charge us $0.0015 per 1,000 tokens, and while 1,000 tokens is around 750 words. Okay, so this is for the input. I mean, for the question. And for the output, you're going to be charged with $0.002 for every 1,000 token. Okay? So this is what we need to keep in mind. This is like a prepaid service. So you need to pay first, and once you pay, you're going to be able to start consuming all the money that you put in your account. Okay, so let's keep this in mind. Okay, so this is the pricing system. It's really simple. So it's going to be decompose just the text into tokens, and it's going to be charged by the amount of tokens that you use. Okay. So now the keywords. So this is like these are the main components in the ChatGPT work. So let's start with the prompt. Prompt is no more than the question that you made to the ChatGPT. Okay. So if I go, for example, and I go and say, I don't know, what is the capital city of whatever country, that is the prompt. Okay. Then you're going to have the completion. The completion is the answer that the engine is going to give you related with that prompt. Then we have the model. The model is like the kind of the answer that you're going to receive from ChatGPT. In this moment, there are two main models. One is ChatGPT 3.5 Turbo, and the other one is called DaVinci. And it's just like different trained models. So you're going to get, probably regarding the model that you use, you're probably going to get different answers. And this is this depending on how trained is the model for your responses, or to get your responses. And the last one is the temperature. Temperature is the level of accuracy that the ChatGPT API is going to have. For example, if I set the temperature to 0, okay, I'm going to get a very accurate answer. So probably every time that I ask the same question, I'm going to get the same answer. Okay. If I increase the value of the temperature, it means that probably it's going to be like searching here or here or here, different kind of questions for the same, different kind of answers for the same question. So the more the temperature, the more like not accurate answer you're going to have, but you're going to get a lot of different answers in every time you ask the same question. So that is the difference. So if we want to have the most accurate answer, we need to set the temperature to 0. But if you want to have, for example, different, let's say, for example, that you are writing something and you're going to write a song, for example, and you need to get like a brainstorming. So set the temperature higher, and you're going to get, okay, give me a text about whatever. And if you do the same question again, probably you're going to get different answers every time you do. So this can be very useful regarding what you need. If you need to have like a brainstorming, okay, so you need to start requesting for those ideas, set the temperature a little bit higher, and you're going to get different answers every time you use the application, you use the ChatGPT. Okay, so let's go to the small demo, and here we're going to answer the questions from Joanna. Okay, so this is the reference. So the first thing is that we need to authenticate our request using what? The API key. Okay, so this is basically we can use this in the authorization part. It could be in the header. We're going to see it in a couple of minutes. It could be in the header, or it could be in the authorization. Okay, so you just need to put the bidder authorization and just paste the API key. So let's check something very straightforward. So this is how a request is made. So I'm going to copy this CURL code. I'm going to come to Postman. Okay, I already have one here, but I'm going to do it from scratch. So let's come to the import part and just paste this this code, and you're gonna get that now your request is configured by Postman. As you can see here in the headers, we have a header for authorization. So we have the bidder, and you need to replace your API key here. Okay, So here the SK and something like this, and so you need to replace the API key here, and then you need to go to the body, and you need to specify. Remember, which model are we going to use? We're going to specify the prompt, and we're going to set the temperature. Okay. So I already have here. One, because I am using my API key, so I have it here in authorization part. Okay. So I'm not gonna show that because you can copy my my API key. So just go and get your API key, guys. Okay, so let's come to the body. And for example, I can say, what is the capital city of Kazakhstan? So if I go to the ChatGPT and I send this request, I'm going to see that I have a status code 200 indicating that the request was resolved successfully. And here I'm going to get the answer. Okay. So now this is in Postman. So you can start here. Asking whatever you want here. Okay. But let's translate this into code. So you can come here, for example, to Postman. Okay. And you can convert this to an HTTP client, an HTTP request for Visual Studio. Now I can copy this here.
Hey.
Yes.
I just have a question. I don't know if someone asked this before. I just came a couple of minutes before. I was in a meeting. Does it respond in any language that you write, or do you have to just put the language in somewhere?
Okay, thanks for your question. And yes, it will respond to any language you write. So you can ask, you can have you can raise your question actually in Spanish, and it's going to respond. So there is no limitation with the language. Okay, so this tool is trained to respond to any language that is used by the user. Go ahead.
For that reason, I want to add something, and that is that English is obviously the most accurate language that it has. So if you write in English, it's going to be translated better to the code. If you use Spanish, I think it's like 60 or 40%, no, 60 or 70% of accuracy compared to English. I think it's like that.
Yes, you're right. Yes, actually, if you can translate your question to English, it's going to be very accurate because the model is very well trained in that language. So we can go and train the model. I'm going to give you that information in a couple of minutes. But yes, if you use English, you're going to get the more accurate response. So thank you for your comment. Okay.
Edison, I have one question.
Uh-huh.
I can see that in the line number 3, messages, you're sending a row, which is user.
Yes.
How many rows can you send, or what are the rows that you can send?
No, in this case, we're using user because I am interacting with the ChatGPT. The other one is I don't remember the role, but it's when I am training the system. I don't remember the word. I think I have it. Yeah, I think I have it in somewhere else. But yes, or you're a user or you're a content something. I don't remember. And this is when you are putting information to train the model. Okay. If you're not going to train the model, you're going to use user, and it's going to say, okay, I am interacting with a user, so I need to give the response to them. Okay, guys. So the first approach to the Visual Studio, and in the end, I'm going to answer why, because I know that Joanna is waiting for this answer, but let's go a little bit technical first. So the first thing you need to notice here is that it's very simple to create an HTTP request to the ChatGPT. It's a normal HTTP client request, HTTP request. So here you're going to say what is the URI. Then you need to add the headers, and you need to add the bidder token here. Okay. So I just can come here and concatenate the API key here, and here is the prompt. Okay, it is the prompt and the temperature. If you don't put the temperature, it's going to be by default 0, so it's going to be the more accurate answer. And after that, you can just execute this and you're going to get the answer. So we can try. Okay, so we can try. So let's put here, for example, let's do it in this is a no better fancy way, but let's do it. Okay, there you go. So let's do the let's run this, and we need to get the same answer that if I'm interacting with the ChatGPT through the Postman or even through the graph, the user interface that they have in their own site. Okay, there you go. As here, I have the model here, I have the response here, so everything is working good. So I can just make a chat here, so that I can make a console.read line, and I can put my own questions in the prompt, and I'm going to get the answer. Okay, so this is the first approach. And now, in this moment, you have ChatGPT talking with the Visual Studio in your code. Okay, so let's start saying this. For example, Joanna, we can have like an assistant in our applications. Okay, if regarding the business or the purpose of the development that you have, you can use for example, like a chatbot, or you can use like an assistant. Okay, and if you want to control actually the answers, you can have for example, like a FAQ section, and those questions are going to be redirected to the ChatGPT, and you're gonna get the answer from ChatGPT. Okay, so let's start thinking about the possibilities that we have if we integrate ChatGPT with Visual Studio. I'm going to have all that powerful engine that has been trained for a lot of people all around the world, and I can use it in my code. Okay, in a couple of minutes, I'm going to show you even a more interesting example about the usage that we can give to this tool. Okay, so now let's talk about integrating this with not with a HTTP request, but using a library. In this moment, ChatGPT doesn't have a library for desktop in C#. ChatGPT has library for Node.js, it has library for Python, but it has actually library for Azure, okay, for .NET in Azure, but it doesn't have like a library for like, let's say, desktop. Okay, so let me comment this. So in this moment, there are 3 libraries that are the most how do you say that, the most like famous, for example, and one of them is called I got that here. Let me go to libraries. Okay. Let me go to libraries. So I don't have libraries here. There are 3 libraries. Let me go to the documentation. Yes, libraries. There you go. Okay, so they have library for Python, they have libraries for Node.js, they have libraries for another languages, but for C#, the libraries are from an open source libraries, the community libraries, and in this moment, this is the most famous, this one. Okay, this is the more accurate and easy to use and install, so let's use this for the example. So let's come to Visual Studio. So we need to go to the NuGet Package Manager. Okay, so let's do it here, NuGet Package Manager. There you go. So you need to put only in browse OpenAI. OpenAI. Okay, and this one, the OK Go Do It. This is the most popular, so let's install this one. Okay, so let's install it. Okay, I think this is already installed. So let's come here and start the code like this. This is very straightforward. Okay, so let's do it this way. Equals, let's do it here. Equals new OpenAI and OpenAI API. And let's say we're going to use our API key. Okay, let's using OpenAPI. Okay, so now we have the object which we're going to talk with this. So let's set the things. So I'm going to the completion request. Okay, completion. Remember what completion is. It's going to be a new completion request. Okay, this is the first thing. Check what is happening here. What is happening here? API key, completion Okay. Sorry. There you go. Okay. Now we are going to specify how many tokens we need. Okay. So I can just limit the answer to a certain number of tokens because I want to control my pricing. But let's say we don't need to control the pricing. So let's establish, for example, 1,000 tokens. That's going to be 750 words approximately. Okay, so let's do something like this. Console, ask your question. Okay, and then console.readline. Sorry. And let's say that prompt is going to be the console.readline. Okay, completion. Okay, there you go. Okay, now we are going to get the response. So basically, it's going to be an asynchronous call, and we're going to say, wait, we're going to say OpenAI dot completions dot create completion async, and we are going to set completion. Okay, and let's put the right line. Okay, and basically that's it. So let's do it here. Completion, right line is going to see response to response. Okay, there you go. And this is it. So let's check it out. What is the capital city of, let's say, Russia? There you go. Moscow is the capital city of Russia. So now we integrate Visual Studio with ChatGPT using this library. So we can do a little bit more things. Let's do a couple of two more examples, and we can finish this session. So with this OpenAI, I can perform a couple of more tasks. I can perform, for example, I can create images, I can create transcripts, and even I can train the model. Okay, so let's do something like this. And now we're going to see the result. Let's do an await, OpenAI, image generation, that create image async, and we're going to say we're going to have a new image generation request, and here I am going to say, okay, for example, a picture of, I don't know, a flying elephant. I don't know. Okay, there you go. Flying elephant. Okay, there are the number of images. How many images do I want in the response? And then I'm going to say the image size. So image. Oh, there you go. This is an S here. This is here. Image size is going to be, for example, okay, let's say 12 megabytes. Okay, now I have everything here. Now I need to just get the response. So I'm going to get the response in a very funny way. I'm going to get the result. I'm going to get a URL. Okay. So let's say result.data 0, the index 0 point URL. And let's see what we get here. Okay, in this moment it's generating the image. Okay, there you go. This is the generation of the image here. So we need to come here and get this URL and let's see what happened. There you go. There is the image. So we can use, for example, this URL in a string content read, okay, in a normal HTTP client, and we can get the base64 for this image, and we can use this image in whatever we need. Okay, so let's do one more thing, okay, and check this, guys. Okay, this is a table, okay. So I can just come here and say, okay, let's go to the ChatGPT and let's say this: analyze this data and tell me what is the most populated country. Okay. So there you go. So as you can see here, based on the provided data, ChatGPT is answering my question. Okay. So as you can see here, the most populated country in my data is US, and the response is correct. Is saying that based on my data, this is the response. So now I have an idea on this, and this is what I'm going to make a proposal that we can have a second part, because actually ChatGPT can work with our own data, and it can analyze our own data, and it can give us answers regarding with our own data. So for example, and this is another answer for Joanna. So let's imagine that we are working with some data, with some charts and some financial information. So we're going to our database and we are getting a data set. So we can pass that data set to ChatGPT, okay? And we can start asking questions to it regarding, for example, questions like the one I showed you a couple of seconds ago. What is the department that is spending the most amount of money, or what is the seller, which is the seller that is selling the most amount of cars or amount of whatever you're selling. So you can have your own analyst, okay, inside your project using your data. So we can do that. We can do this request here, actually, but I need to make a tabulation here, so I'm not going to spend that time. But probably you need to, the only thing you need to do here is, for example, put, let me see, I don't have it, but I can just, oh, actually, yes, we can do something. We can come here, okay, we can come to network, and we can do it again. Okay. So as you can see here, this is the payload. There you go. Okay, so we are sending the table in this format using just characters to say this is a end of line, this is a tabulation. So in this moment, I can send that table using my Visual Studio prompt to get the answer that I am looking for. Okay, so I can copy this, I can paste it, and I'm going to get the same result. So now imagine, guys, that you're working with a lot of data and you can have ChatGPT analyzing of that amount of data for you. Okay, and you can start asking questions, and you can create like a very powerful assistant in your code, in your product, and you can basically ask whatever you want to know about all the data that you're managing in your project. So that is going to be another session. There is a very, very easy way to train the model, and there is a couple of lines of code that you need to do, for example, in Python, just to upload a file with information. It could be an Excel file, it could be a PDF with tables of information inside. So you need to, this is called fine tuning. This is how you train the model. So you can send all that data to ChatGPT using this. It's probably 5 or 6 lines of code in Python, because I already have been working on this and I already have the code. I don't know Python, but the code is so simple. And you need to put only the path of the file, and you're going to start saying, okay, give me the list of whatever, give me the top 5 of this or this, using our own data. So this is how you can have integrated ChatGPT with your Visual Studio Code and your projects. So as you can see, it's very straightforward. It's very simple. So I think this is all I have for today. This is what I have to show you guys. And if you have any question, please let me know.
I have a question, Edison, that is regarding, again, when you send the information via Postman. I asked you about the user, that you told me that there is another user, content admin, something like that is used to train the model. That training is only for the user that is trying to train the model? Like, for example, I can imagine a situation where I don't know, I'm a bank, and the banks have chatbots, but those chatbots are not really good. So I want to give information to ChatGPT about, like, not super private information, but me as a bank, I want to give information to ChatGPT about how things work, what the user can do inside the web page of the bank, blah, blah, blah. And I want to train the model about that. That changing of the user that we talked about earlier can be used for that, or that information is going to be, that training is going to be for available for everyone, or only for the user that is sending that?
Okay. First of all, you need to remember that we need to use an API key. Okay, and this API key is going to be like your authorization token. So you need to save this token in a very safe place, because if not, everybody is going to have access to your API key, and it's going to consume your money. Okay. Having said that, the good practice is to have, for example, this API in an Azure Key Vault, and I can go to the API key for the Key Vault in Azure and get the value. And once I get the value, I can start training the model. Okay. So let me show you, for example, here that you can have your data. So basically, how can you train the model? You can say, okay, this is a question, and this is an expected answer. Okay, so you can have a file like this, or even you can have a PDF, as I'm mentioning. But the idea is that every time you are asking questions to ChatGPT, this is also a training, okay? Because you're going to evaluate the answer, and you're going to see, and if you're going to say to ChatGPT is the answer is wrong or is right. So I can go there and I can just ask a question, and I can just say, oh, this is not the question I was expecting. So I was expecting a question like this, or why is this is not, and what is that is the answer? Why that is the answer and not this one? And that way, ChatGPT is going to start training as well. So I recommend not to use this, for example, in like a website. It could be better managed by like a robots, like you said, like jobs that can start pulling data and pulling information to the model and train the model. Actually, they recommend that you at least need to use 100 prompts here in the file in order to have a very accurate answer from ChatGPT. So you can have a bunch folder full of files, and you can start training the model. So there are two ways to do it. One is with files like this, okay, because this is just answering question and answer. But the other thing is that you can train with your own data. So with the API key, that data is not going to be available for everybody. Okay, it's going to be available for the ones that are using that API key because that is the information related with that API key. So when you're training your model and you're using the API key, you're saying, okay, I am training this model with my own data to use for my organization, so you can configure this.
Okay.
Anything else?
Okay, thank you very much.
Welcome. Anything to add?
I have a question regarding fine-tuning models and using our own data. I have a question.
Yes.
We saw in their demo that we're using the OpenAI API.
Yes.
With a library. So I guess the model is running in their servers. But in the case we fine-tune a model with our own data, do we need to host that model in our own infrastructure? Do we need to clone the model somewhere in a repo or somewhere?
Okay, good question, and it's not necessary. Basically, you can have like your own, for example, let's say your data lake with all the models you want to train, and you can keep it inside your infrastructure. You don't need to send like the files or something. No, you need to put only a path where the ChatGPT is going to import your model and is going to be training with using them. But you don't need to clone anything. You don't need to download anything. Actually, remember, I'm not an expert in Python, but as you can see here, is very easy to do it. It's just a couple of lines of code, because as you can see here, you are sending the model that you're going to train, and basically that's it. It's very, very simple to do the fine tune in this case, but you don't need to. And actually, you can. And actually, that is a good point. Thank you, Alvin, because you can have your own training models, and you even can delete those models. Okay. So, for example, if this is going to be a temporary information, you can create the model, you can train the model, and then you can delete it. So once this is deleted, the information is not going to be available for ChatGPT, and it's not going to give you accurate answers, or even it is going to say, I don't know the answer because I don't have that kind of training. So in this case, you don't need to clone anything. You just need to interact directly with the API or with the HTTP request.
Okay, so the information we gather over our training, so that stays in the OpenAI infrastructure in their servers.
Yes, I mean, not in the server. They are not going to like copy your information to the server, but it is going to send all that data to the model, to the training model algorithm. Okay. So your file is going to be physically in your infrastructure, let's say on your PC or on your server, but the information is going to be sent, and it's going to use it using this. Okay, let me show you. Okay, it's going to be used using the model you trained. Okay, so this is why the other people can not access to the information, because first of all, you have your own API key, and then you made a request for training this particular model. Okay, so let's say, for example, I have the whole year sales, so I can name the model all year sales. Okay, and I'm going to use ChatGPT in order to have answers about that model using the API key and the name of the model. Okay, so the information is going to be there, yes, the information of the file, because you already sent to the algorithm to be trained. But once this information is obsolete, because now we have a new report, we can come and delete the information and upload the new one. Okay.
Okay, understood. Thank you.
You're welcome. Julio, come on, Julio. You realize that you raised your hand.
Okay. Can you hear me? Yeah. Good presentation, man. Just only to complement a couple of things. Could you please go to your account users and show us what is the normal use? That's an important thing. That maybe when do you start to pay with this kind of things? First of all, at the beginning, do you have a couple of credits free? But when do you spend that value, you started with your own usage account. So that's the thing that maybe you need to configure a payment method and create your subscribe a credit card for that. So if you go please to your account and go to usage information, go to your manage account. Go to manage account.
There you go. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, and go to usage. Yeah, as you can see here, you can control what is the normal usage that you have. As you see here, okay, we are doing with Edison a couple of questions, and we are sending a couple of messages. And you can see most of them is not relevant values, because the thing is you are that's great, Barrett. If you can see, is even pretty close to a quarter, minus than a quarter.
Yes.
In that case, so if you can try to see, you can control that kind of things. Don't be scared, because if you do this frequently and testing and practice with this kind of things, the cost for each of those values looks like a minimal.
Yes.
Anyway, if you are requesting frequently, or you are sending a special I don't know, summarize a book or something, there are more information that ChatGPT has to evaluate. That's maybe increase the cost for that other thing. So you can control the value that you can see cumulative values that you are spend with your credit card. So
yes,
don't be scared with that.
Yeah, it's very cheap actually. As you can see here, we just spent between. I was performing a couple of testing last Saturday when I was in the airport. Yeah, I had a long layover there, so I was just making some kind of test. And as you can see here, in the whole month, including that day and including the activity that we did today, I have only spent 25 cents of the $120 I have here. So you remember also, guys, that in your configuration, you can set the maximum tokens that you can use. Okay, so you can control this even for getting accurate responses and even don't to spend a lot. So you can have some, like for example, when you're going to send enter to you're going to send your question, you can validate, for example, how many tokens do you have for the question, and you can just limit and say, okay, make a shorter question or something like that. But you can configure that. But yes, it's very, very, to my opinion, is very cheap.
Yeah, that's good. Go please. Yeah, and another thing, could you go to the menu, the playground?
Mm-hmm.
At the top, at the playground. Yeah, here you can test. If you don't want to create any code and maybe you want to test on training yourself, how do you create your own prompts, you can come here and try to replicate something. If you come, for example, go to the examples, please, at the top.
Yeah, the top.
Yeah, for example, choose the explain code in the second column, the third in the second column. Yeah, and you click it over open playground, opening playground. Yeah, that's the way that you can use it. So you can put it the system message that you are expecting to display for this kind of process, and in the message you can change here, for example, user. If you send submit this operation, for example, you can see you are interacting directly with the thing, okay? And at the right side, as Edison explained before, you have the temperature, you have the model, you have the special mode chat or the other things. Yeah, you can come here and try to train yourself. That's the way that you can use the ChatGPT model before that you are starting with the code, because sometimes we need to understand a little bit more how these things works before to explain or try to create a code in line. And this can help you. It's a playground, like a number at the name. It's very useful to train yourself and understand how to do good prompts, because
Yes.
as Edison mentioned before, the most important things here is you have to prompt very well a way to ask to ChatGPT in a better way. Because if you don't to do the right question, you can spend more tokens, so you spend more money. So
Yes.
that's the thing that you have to control. Okay.
Yes.
Very good,
So
Edison. Very good, man.
I think you have here all the documentation you need. Now you see that it's very, very, very simple to make this integration. So just go, guys, and even you can, for example, you can together put some money in an account, and you can make you can be making your testing with the same API key, and you can create like a group and just make a payment, and you're going to start playing with this and making your own POCs. And now, Joanna, I think that you have an idea of what we can do with this. Even the most important thing here is that you can push your own data to the model, and you can have your your smart assistant and start asking questions or asking for analysis on your own data. Even you can send, for example, your calendar. You can send birthday dates and things like that. You can start asking or requesting for reminders about those kind of dates. So it's very powerful. You just need to start thinking about how can we use this and just start to use it. Okay, guys. So if everything is done now and you don't have any questions, so thank you so much for joining and have a nice weekend. See you.
Thank you. Take care.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
See you
Well
later,
done,
guys.
everyone. Bye.
Well done, man. Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.